So how's everybody doing today? It is Friday, July 26th now, and my antenna is loose on my truck. But anyway, I realized when I was editing the video last night that I didn't really explain anything about this old barn. I have before in previous videos, but when I was editing it last night, I was kind of going, "Oh man, I didn't really say too much." And if you're new to the channel, you may be thinking like, "Oh my God, did he really drive a dozer through the barn and just knock it down and set it on fire? What kind of crazy people are these people?" So, this old barn had to be 70 years old or so, is my guess. I don't know. Nobody has an idea how old it is, but let's see where to begin. So I have a picture. I'm going to try to find it. But right there at the driveway was a gate, and my dad's grandfather was actually opening the gate, and somebody took a picture of him opening it. I guess right when my grandfather bought this in May of 1977, and so all there was two little dirt trails, you know, from a vehicle pulling in, right where the driveway is, and this old barn was sitting here, and it looked old then. So all the corrals over here, the pipe fence, that was all wood, cross ties, and I guess there had to be 2x12s or 2x10s, something like that. The whole thing was, and there was some beef cows out here. I don't know where those pictures went that were from behind it, where they were checking the beef cows. I haven't seen those in a long time. But I mean, I just recently saw in the last year the one of him opening the gate at the driveway. But so that was all that was here. The rest of it was just open field, and most of this over here was woods. All that was woods, and this just right here was an open pasture. So at first they only owned a third of this, maybe. I'm not even really sure how many acres. But so they had the beef cows, and what the deal was is my grandfather, he didn't have anything to do with dairy. They moved from California when my dad was a freshman in high school. So I'm not sure what year, 76 or so. Because my dad's 56, and if you haven't caught on yet, Wes is my dad. So anyway, so they moved here when he was a freshman in high school. They actually lived in town, and he had bought this, and then right when my dad graduated high school, they started the dairy, or they started building it. And then by April of 1982 is when they started milking. And through high school, my dad worked at a dairy on not too far from here, but they had a couple hundred cows that they were milking, and he was working there. And then I guess really my grandfather decided to build a dairy, and then him and my dad have been working it ever since. So everything was kind of built around this old barn being here. And when I was a sophomore in high school, we pulled out all the, most of the cross ties were rotted, and the boards were rotted, and there was, it was kind of getting dangerous working cows. And then so I had to be 16, like I said, a sophomore in high school, that we pulled all the cross ties up and took all the boards down and built it with pipe fence. And yeah, so we did did all the pipe fence. Like Wes would go around cutting everything, and then I would go around welding everything. And I can't remember how long it took us, but it didn't take us very long. And then later on, the pen back here behind the old barn, it wasn't near as big, but I was out of high school when we built that. But anyway, so that's what the deal was. It was just trying to get rid of this old barn. It was rotted. The roof was taken off by a tornado, or half the roof, and it was just time for it to be knocked down and taken care of. We got a couple things that we need to do before we do anything over here. We need to do some employee housing, and we need to pour a slab for silage. But right now I have a little bit of a surprise showing up that we ordered 6 weeks, and it's speeding this video up because he's coming down the driveway right now with it. So I'll set the camera somewhere and y'all can watch it pull in. So that's the story on the old barn. We kind of got a couple ideas that we want to do there. It's just gonna be later on when the timing's right. But every storm that came, every high winds that came through, we were always afraid that that barn was gonna go every which way, and then so for the just be pieces of it everywhere. So for the last, I would say last month or so, we been pulling the tin off, and let's see, we've been pulling the tin off and getting ready to take it down. But so finally the other day decided to pile it up with the dozer and then go ahead and get it burnt down. So I'm sure later I'll think of more stuff about that old barn, but I know it had a couple corn cribs in it, had a hay loft in it, and all that when it was first built. And then later on I was probably just a baby, but they cut the hay loft out so that they could stack square bales in there. And then the last time that we got alfalfa, which was probably 10 years ago, we could put a whole load of 4x4 bales in there. But anyway, that was before the roof came off. So we'll get this thing unhooked and then check it out. Well, surprise. So we ordered this about 6 weeks ago or so. I think it was the first part of June that we ordered it, and just now got here today. So it's an Artex SB 550. Some shear bolts. Yeah, we didn't get nothing too fancy on it. We didn't get the scales or anything like that. Got the medium-sized tires. These are the 550 45 22.5s, so it's pretty good wide tire. And then vertical beater, guillotine door. If you get on YouTube and watch these on YouTube, they run a car through them, they run a boat through them, they run a pallet of cinder blocks through them, and it doesn't hurt anything, so that's cool. And I'm not quite sure how. It looks like a pretty good sized chain. Yeah. Well, I guess you would take these bolts out, and it probably sits in that square tubing there. And then you're supposed to be able to take this off and use it for like a silage wagon. So I mean, it wouldn't hold much, but could if you want to. Let's see. Chain. Oh yeah. Huh. So PTO to the gearbox there to turn the vertical beaters. I guess you'd still have to crawl underneath here to grease that, but then you can grease that from the outside because it's got a tube to it. It's got suspension. So that's nice. I'm pretty sure all that is for is if say there's some rocks or something in the manure that you're spreading, and it hits the vertical beater just right and it throws it back so it doesn't hit the cab. Huh. I see. That's cool. So they say you can just spread, just about whatever you want through these, lime, chicken litter, manure, even slurry, which obviously this little flapper down here we keep the slurry in. But then maybe easier to do with the door open. It looks like you can flip this up and latch it into here, and then you just have a small hole there. It's a pretty good sized chain. I can't remember. There's two options on the chain, and I don't remember. No, it was a WR78 chain. That's what it was. So you got a bunch of grease fittings right there. Easy to grease up. Oh man. So I'm sure as soon as we get caught up on some hay or something, we'll get this going. The deal is on this is we got the manure pit behind the feeding. With the vacuum tank, we can suck it all down to about a foot deep, and then there's not enough water to suck it in. So once we get down to that level, we could go in and scoop it and haul it off in this, and then completely empty that pit out. The lagoon coming out of the dairy barn, there's 3 lagoons. Like you get the first one, and then it goes over, water goes over to the second one, then water goes over to the third one, and then so by the time it gets to the third one, it's pretty much just clean water. And the first one is full of the solids, and right now it is like full. Like when they open the flush tanks, the water runs out, runs across, and runs right into the second one. So we'll end up getting that track hoe up here and scooping it out and scooping it in this and spreading it. So that's the plan with this, and I just hope it works out. Should be very useful. And another thing we can do is like any piles of dirt that we have, like when we clean out some ponds or things like that, we can fill this up with dirt, take that back off, fill it up with dirt, and then just pull up and dump it like a dump truck load of dirt instead of that belly dump. Because there it is, the belly dump sometimes becomes a pain in the butt when you're trying to rebuild a lane, because like the dirt can be soft and the truck's getting stuck and all that. So with this, you could be able to just go right up and put it right where you want it, all in a pile, and the dozer could flatten it out. And then the other thing we got to do is that new land that we cleared in the back there, there's a bunch of holes that have formed where we buried stumps and things like that. Well, they've like sunk down and made some holes, and there's some washouts. So we could fill this up with dirt and then go run some off into those holes. So that was the reason of purchasing it, because it can do several different things. It's not just going to be something to haul manure with, which is always very handy. But you can do dirt, you can do lime, you can do chicken litter, you can do manure, and you could, I don't really see why you would, but you could do silage if you wanted to. I guess maybe if you had a pile a little bit away from the commodity barn, you could fill this up and take it to the commodity barn and dump it. But anyway. So that's the plan with this. So it's later in the afternoon now. I just got a phone call. Jason's bailing. That's what he's doing. And then Jeremy and Wes are cutting. They just had a hose bust on the 7210, and need to bring Wes's truck out there and grab a bucket of oil. So that's what we're doing. I'm not sure what hose it is, but he said it's not something simple. So we'll grab this bucket of oil and then head out there, and then when we get there, we'll figure out what we got to do. So Tim Kelsey just asked if there was any updates on the newer Freightliner and all the problems that we were having on it. So it has been, I can't even remember now. It's been over there being worked on for like a week and a half now, I think, if I remember right. But, and oddly enough, we were just talking about it 30, 45 minutes ago. And what we found out this morning is they did all the same stuff that we did, the fuel tank and bypassing the fuel tanks and all that stuff, and came up with the same result. So then they cleaned the injectors. They found a few O-rings that were bad, and then they put it all back together. And then so it would start on its own and without starting fluid, and it'll run revved up, and it will idle. But when it idles really rough, like it's almost trying to die. So they said there's two options. One option is to send the injectors off to either somewhere in San Antonio or somewhere in Louisiana and get them tested, and that it would cost $250 a piece to get them inspected or to get them tested to figure out which one is leaking pressure, because when it's idling it's leaking pressure, and that's what's causing it to run rough. So but then they also called Freightliner. Actually they said they called somebody at Detroit, and Detroit said that it was very rare, but it is possible for them to be leaking at idle, so, or something like that. Getting all confused now, but so then they ended up calling the Freightliner place here in Tyler, and then they said that a new injector is $300. So either send them off and get them tested for $250, or just get new injectors and get them put in and be done with it. So that's what we told them to do. Just get new injectors and put them in. Well, you're about to find out while I was sitting there for a minute. I got somebody's Starbucks. Their Frappa Mocha, whatever. Mocha Frappa something. And Wes has got a coffee, and they got a cookie and a Danish. I got banana bread. But anyway, we're at the neighbors right now, where we got stuck in the big truck. We got stuck right over there about where Wes is. Matter of fact, I think he's hitting the ruts. Looks like it. So this looks pretty good. Jeremy's stuck up here with bust of hydraulic hose. So there's a lot of deer back here. You can see all the deer tracks walking through the woods, or walking through the grass. How can I be of service to you, sir? Here's your Starbucks.
Thanks. My straw.
You need a straw? There's your straw.
Let's see.
You want your cookie too?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you were out here. Where?
I mean, what's the control? It's a bigger hose. See the bigger hose that drops down over the axle?
Oh, yeah?
And then you go under, and then it kind of goes like this, and it kind of snakes back around, and then it goes up, right underneath the seat. It'd be real easy to get back here, but underneath might be a little harder.
Okay.
We're like 99% sure that is that hose, but there's only one hose that size that comes up from there. It's got a big ass hole in it.
It's probably 7/8 and
So West take the one that you off first and wiggle it, make sure that it is that one, so you get that one on. Other side.
Huh?
Other side.
you know what wrench is or anything? Oh yeah, I see the hole.
Big old hole.
Yeah, the hole's right there. That's kind of a weird place to get a hole.
Oh, I ain't rubbing on nothing.
Okay, first, can you hand me 9/16 in the Milwaukee. Take this off.
916 wrench.
Yeah, I'd rather have a socket in the Milwaukee. Yeah.
You gonna take the floorboard up?
Okay, that's not 9/16. It's 5/8.
You have to take the floorboard up to get that one up high? Or can you get it?
You might be able to get it through the battery box. See daylight.
This isn't done, isn't it?
Hey, you just finished up pin 3.
Push the battery forward.
What? Huh?
Hold this green. Either if you can reach it, you see the fitting for the hoses?
Yeah.
I mean, can you reach it from there, or do you have to take the floorboard out? It's either one or the other.
I don't think you can reach it to the floor, so I'll have to do it down here.
Huh. We can let him bell.
Oh, jeez, this is not fun. It's all hot in here, too.
Hello? Yep.
This ain't working. There's no room.
So you need to take the floorboard up.
I guess so. I need a the little impact Milwaukee and maybe an 8mm.
810? Oh, it is 8. You feel me yanking on it with the right hose? Yeah.
Oh, there's a bird's nest.
It's just like wedged in there. It's just like wedged. Can you see me moving it? Oh yeah. It's like,
Bird's nest.
what do you keep saying bird's nest for?
There's bird's nest on top of the transmission.
Any eggs in it? It's like right there. Right there, but like 3 inches to pull.
right there. You just had your hand on it. The pipe's in the way. Is that pipe?
That's pipe.
I can't find it again.
What? You can't find what?
The hose.
It's right here.
Oh.
Is that a fitting right there? Or where is it? Here? Was in another clamp. I wonder.
My God. Hey, Jeremy. Or I guess, would there be a real short 7/8 in that black box?
Hold on a minute. Let's hold this.
Oh, hell, that kind of hurt.
Is that a fitting or what?
Yeah.
Is that 90s?
Yeah. Can you move it a little bit so I can make sure I'm on the right one? Huh.
Okay. Is this a fitting?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you couldn't get it from the outside?
What?
You couldn't get it from out there?
What does that mean?
No, it's too far down. Where is it?
Come up here above the batteries.
Oh, right here? I can get that. Oh. Just the bottom one, though. Hose is in there.
I'm trying to hold it up, and you're trying to pull it down.
I can get it. Right here.
Oh, you can. But if that's a fitting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody just holds this big hose up out of the way from up there.
Yeah.
And then you can get
You
it.
just get the wrenches on it right there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
What?
That's what I said earlier, and someone was like, no.
You said you couldn't do it.
I asked you if you could do it from the outside, and you said no.
I didn't see it. I didn't know where it was.
So I took all this off.
Well, I mean, still gonna probably have to. You can't even get to it from up there.
Where'd he go?
Right here, waiting on the wrenches.
Well, here. Just over here. There you go.
Okay.
Now we can get that back on.
Well, what are you gonna do with this one? This blade did in the factory.
So Wes went to town to get that hose fixed, and then they couldn't fix it in town at the Eagle Auto Parts. And then so he called a guy that has a hydraulic hose company halfway between here and Athens to get it fixed, and then like an after hours deal. So my guess is he should be back by now. He'll be back in about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll head back over there and fix it. And then so I just got a ride back to the dairy from the neighbor. He was out there on his I think it's a Kawasaki T-Rex, and then so he gave me a ride back to the dairy because I was kind of stuck out there. Jeremy kept cutting, and I'm just gonna come down to the feed lane, check things out, and then wait for Wes to pick me up. But thing looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? It's all shiny. Too bad it's gonna be covered in shit soon.
You
You see? Oh, hang on. Yeah. Right here.
You see? I got it in there. I got it in there. In that little clip thing you just snap over?
Oh. Let me go ahead and put this one on.
Yeah. Get started and somebody I can pull.
Where's the?
Well,
That one's got the O-ring in the end of the hose or what?
No, it's on. It's just a
Flat face. It's flat face.
Yeah.
Just make sure the O-ring's over there. Can make you a little dab for you to rub on that one. Huh? Or what?
Are you ever supposed to change the gearbox?
Sir, are you gonna answer my question or?
Yeah, but I don't. I just put my finger on it. I don't feel an O-ring.
Oh no! Fucking kidding me? It fell out.
On what?
This end.
On the new hose or the?
No.
That other end has an O-ring.
Oh.
You didn't take it off, did you?
No, but we were sitting there yanking on it. Shit, probably came loose.
No, it would have been on the end. That's still here. That didn't move. Hey, you want to move out of the way, and I can see if I can just.
Well, if it's stuck to the hose, though, that's what I'm saying. You know, and pulled it off and stuck on the hose.
Justin, is there an O-ring there or not?
I'm looking right now.
No, in the fitting.
No, not in the. Not on the hose that you just got.
No, I know.
No, in the fitting
on the fitting.
tractor.
No, it's not. It's not there.
Wait,
I don't see it in here in the grass or anything.
I guess I need to.
Oh, I see it.
Where?
I see the O-ring.
On the fitting?
No, just laying in the bottom of the tractor.
Where?
Okay.
Tell me where.
Right in front of me.
Oh, now you're crossing me.
You gonna
No.
try to get it or?
Yeah. I'm trying to keep the hose from. Just use my camera in reverse to look up, back up inside that fitting on the tractor. Here, clean it off. Are you got a new one? In the,
I told you that I left the bag there.
no, in that red container.
You go look.
Ow.
Let's start it.
No.
Got started?
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully he does what I told him to do.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, did you get it on the other side of that one deal and that pipe and all that?
No, get his tractor done? Here, buddy.
What do you say?
You get started?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
done.
Oh.
You're good.
Get the light out of my house.
I'm trying to find the bracket you're laying on.
It's right here.
I was here.
Where's the bracket? Right there?
Yeah.
You can see where it was rubbing right there for a minute. Just like that over that top of that bolt.
There's a hog right over there.
Oh my God! You're supposed to be over there working.
Who?
Whoever's going after the hogs.
It's right over there. You just ran off in the woods. There's a couple hogs right there.
There's one over here too, I hear.
Well, there was one over there, and it ran across. I never saw it go across. Huh?
Tie wrappers?
It's probably the same group I think of here, isn't it?
Well, they're just like 100 yards away right now.
No tie wrappers?
The tie wrappers?
You can get power on your
Oh,
thing right here?
and I need that one that. 50.
Yeah.
Start it up real quick, make sure it ain't leaking before you put everything back together.
Are you good to go? Okay. Check. Keep it going.
You need a Phillips screwdriver? Yeah.
need it. Well, I don't know if you can see me. I'm in the 7410 now. 7210's all done and back together. Not sure how much of this footage is going to be worth anything because it's dark putting it back together, but we got it done. It's working. Everything's good. It cost about $100 to get the hose fixed. When Wes called that guy, he was in a, I guess it'd be a town next door to where he lives. Which you got Canton, and then you got Athens, and then he was in Kemp. So it took him about 30-45 minutes to get to his shop to fix the hose. He was actually playing miniature golf with his daughter. So thanks to him, because they'd be closed tomorrow on Saturday. But I got the hose fixed, cost $100, and then got back and got it put on. While we were working on it, right over here, we could hear some grunts, some hog grunts, and then I seen one over here, and then a little bit later there was a couple more actually right here where we're parked right now, or driving. And then so I saw at least 3 hogs, but that's nothing out of the ordinary. But anyway, so everything's good now. Still got about 25 acres. That great big hill is just right on the other side of this tree line, and we got to get that cut. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. Should have got it done today. It is what it is, and that's what happens sometimes. So we'll get after it tomorrow. With that being said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. It's time to go home.